Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie List. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Ruben Pla. Please tell my audience what your documentary, The Horror Crowd, is all about.
Hey there, Michael. Good to talk to you. The Horror Crowd. It's a film that I came up with the idea when I was in Los Angeles, and I was cast in James Wan's Insidious, a very cult favorite film. And I started meeting a lot of filmmakers in the horror crowd, along with other fellow actors. And then started traveling in those circles, and I got the idea to make a movie about all these people. They help each other. They're tight. They jump in and pitch in on each other's set. So I thought it was great. I thought, let me see who's interested. So I started reaching out to people, and pretty much everybody wanted to do it. So that's how it happened.
That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah. It would definitely be of interest, I think, to people. Like, who are these people? We watch horror movies, but,
Sure.
These people probably do interact with each other, maybe have a cup of coffee or whatever else, a nice alcoholic beverage afterwards. So
it actually goes beyond a cup of coffee and a beverage. These people get together for Halloween parties, for karaoke. They throw parties and invite each other. It's all a big, group that hangs out all the time. So, yes.
That's pretty cool, because, in, like, Italy, they have great genre movies, like horror movies, but they don't hang out. They don't do that. I think would you say that's uniquely an American thing?
I don't know if it's a uniquely American thing. It's definitely a unique Los Angeles horror crowd thing. That's, like I said, I got involved with the horror community in Hollywood. I wasn't, I'm also from New York and was raised there, but I never hung out with them. That group there, if there is such a group there, sure there must be. Yeah. So I don't know if it's strictly American. Maybe the Canadians do it too. I don't know, Michael. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm just hucking it with my show, so I don't think you're probably right in Toronto and Montreal, most certainly. Mm-hmm. But okay, fair enough. So so you would say, would you pinpoint the moment you joined the crowd to Insidious? Because you've been acting for a while.
I met James Wan, the director of Insidious, I was on a shoot for a promotional trailer that Mike Mendez was doing for a film he wanted to get off the ground. And then it just so happens that James Wan was on the set because he's a friend of Mike's, and he saw what I was doing, and we got along and hit it off. And then he said to me later, "You want to be in Insidious?" I said, "Okay."
Why not? Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And once I started, and I did meet some of the people that I later became part of the horror crowd on Mike's promotional video set too, but it really expanded when I did Insidious.
All right. Yeah, and you in your documentary, you have the guy who directed Razorback, and that's a great movie.
Oh, you mean that guy, Russell Mulcahy, the legend of Highlander?
Yeah, that guy.
He is such a doll. I mean, the guy is just beyond great. Yes, I interviewed him. And by the way, let me just interject real quick that I couldn't have done this movie without my producing partner, Ariel Brockfeld, who I met again, through that crowd, and also her husband, co-producer Hank Braxton, because they just put it all together for me. I mean, let me just say real quick. I'll get back to Russell in a moment because I love him.
Sure.
But basically, I had lunch with Hank. I sat down one day. And I said, I'm thinking of doing like some interviews of some of the people that we know, like I'll just do it on my phone and see how it looks. He goes, why don't I just give you some cameras? I go, okay. He goes, how about like some lights and lighting? It sounds good. He goes, how about if my wife produces it? I go, okay. And it just exploded from there. Literally, once they came on board and I started contacting people, and it was purely like an avalanche. It was unbelievable. But getting back to the wonderful Russell Mulcahy, who was so gracious to be interviewed. I mean, he's obviously a legend, Razorback, Highlander, Resident Evil, so many things he's done that I love. And he was just so charming in his interviews, and just he has this great wit about him, and I just really, really loved him. And his work is fantastic. I mean, I've loved Highlander forever. And then Resident Evil Extinction, his film, is my favorite of the whole franchise. So that's what I have to say about Russell Mulcahy.
All right. So, like I said, like we've been saying, you've been very, you're a lucky guy. You get to rub elbows with a lot of cool people. Being within the crowd, let's say you have like maybe carte blanche with you get your way on a 2020 horror movie. What do you do to, because like everything can be improved, and I'm not saying there are many great horror movies, but if you were directing a horror movie and you really had your way, nobody's really interfering. How would you distinguish yourself? I guess from such a great crowd.
Well, for me, it's the human factor. That I think that comes out clearly in the horror crowd. The human factor is the most important thing to me, and that's why I made the movie. So that's what I would focus on, whatever movie, whether it's a werewolf movie, vampire movie, an alien movie, I don't care. I would focus on the interaction of the humans. Yeah, we want special effects to be good. We want some blood and gore, and any kind of thing like that. But to me, if the actors aren't relating, and they obviously have to be great actors, realistic actors, not actors, as I call them, presentational actors who just put it on. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in directing those or acting with those. But if they're real good actors and can relate and get along, and I want to keep a happy set too. Because I don't believe, some people say, oh, you need tension on the set to have tension on the screen, and that's just garbage to me. What you need is trust on the set, so that the actors, because I know as an actor, I know when a director and I get along, or when we listen to each other, and he takes my ideas, and I obviously do what he says, it's beautiful, because then you trust each other. I'll go the extra mile, as would any actor worth his or her salt, for a director, producer that they trust. So that would be a human factor and trust on the set.
I like it. Those are good things right there.
Good.
So, do you like Italian horror movies?
I mean, I watch some of them, obviously. The Giallo movies and things like that. But I like the American horror movies. I like the classics. I mean, I really love the original, as you saw in the opening of the horror crowd, the original Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. But then I jump ahead to like things like The Exorcist and Alien, and that kind of, and Jaws.
Yeah.
So I like the American classic of any era horror movies, but I also like a lot of the British, the old
Hammer.
Dracula, Hammer, of course, the old Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I get to watch those all day long, We used to go to the Jump Cut Cafe, which is obviously featured in the Horror Crowd documentary, and we'd watch old Hammer film. They show a couple in a row, and we watch these old Christopher Lee, Taste the Blood of Dracula and all this, The Brides of Dracula, and we just love that stuff. We love it. So yeah, I like classic American horror, and then Hammer, I would say. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I love Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Oh my God! Yeah, of course, of course. I figured you'd say that, Michael. You seem like a satanic kind of guy.
All right, I'll take it. So this is really funny. My next question was about that Elric Kane organized events. So tell me some really intense horror trivia questions, because he went for the deep cuts. You say in the documentary. Oh my God!
First of all, it's heartbreaking that the place had to close down, but it lasted a good 3 years. But that literally was the place. Besides the whole thing with the James and Insidious and just getting together parties and all that, that was, as we mentioned in the documentary, that was our clubhouse. Mike Mendes says that. We had a clubhouse called the Jump Cut Cafe, and we'd go there like regularly to have coffee, have sandwiches, and then once a month we'd have horror trivia. And the questions that Ryan and Rebecca McHenry and Ryan Turek would throw at us were like, even the best people. I mean, there's some people who are like walking encyclopedias, like Jared Rivet and other people like Brian Collins, both who were in the documentary. They're walking encyclopedias, but some of the questions were like unbelievable. Are you kidding?
Right.
I mean, it was kind of like we'd all be going, "Oh no!" Because let me tell you, Michael, there were like 70 to 75 people in that little cafe, which we loved, and it was hot and we're sweating, but we just did not care. It was so much fun having our hot chicken sandwiches, or macaroni and cheese and coffees, and answering these horror trivia questions. And then we'd have guest speakers come in. Wes Craven would come in. All these people would come in and stuff. It was just outstanding. It's really, we really all miss it a lot, the Jump Cut Cafe. But the trivia continues elsewhere, a different venue, which I haven't really gone to, because it was just an emotional tie that I had to the Jump Cut Cafe. And that was another factor that led me to do this. All the people that I met there said, you know what? Let's do some of this. And I said, I'm going to do a segment on the Jump Cut Cafe. and I do the whole rest in peace at the end because it really was very emotional. You know, you saw the tombstone.
I remember. Sounds like a fun time. But I did sound intimidating too.
Like I said, some of the questions you feel like, I thought I knew everything and you don't. You know? Yeah.
Well, I rest assured, I'm sure they researched those questions. So.
Oh no, of course no. It's not like Ryan and Rebecca knew all this off the top of their head. I mean, Ryan's pretty good, and so did Rebecca, but they looked up the stuff. They looked it up.
Oh yeah. So how long did it? Let's move to the logistics. How long did it take to align all these interviews?
Oh, the alignment of the interviews was pretty much spontaneously quick. I just started calling people. And they started saying yes and yes and yes. So I didn't want to put off anything. I just started literally from when I called the first person, who was Mike Mendez, which I felt was correct to do that because, like I said, through him, I pretty much met everybody, James and everybody else from there. I said, he has to be the first one I interview. And so from that first call, days later, we were interviewing and started interviewing more people. And the actual interviews were probably done within a few weeks tops. And then, of course, I had to start editing. Let me tell you, Michael, I had about 40 hours of interviews to cut down to 92 minutes. Like I could have had it could have been a 6-minute documentary.
Sure.
And then, I'm sorry, not 6 minutes, sorry, 6-hour documentary. So, so we cut it down to 92, and I think it's tight and moves pretty fast, and which is important, But so it took me all together with post-production and editing and all, excited at myself and all that. It took about a year, I'd say. It's funny because my co-producer Hank, who's a good buddy of mine, Hank Braxton, said, once we start at that lunch, once we start doing this, it'll be about 3 years till you finish it. I go, no, it won't. Because I knew I wasn't going to dick around, mess around and wait and, meander and postpone and all that. I said, I'm doing it all now. And sure enough, literally almost a day to a year to the date, it was pretty much done. My cut was done. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I love documentaries like this because I'm a big Blu-ray collector, and I love, bonus interviews and even like a feature-length documentary sometimes attached to a Blu-ray. So sure. This like fits in nicely for people who like that, especially, I would say. So, do you like to watch those featurettes and stuff like that?
Oh my God, are you kidding? Until this whole streaming world, popped up. That's all I did was watch DVDs and then Blu-rays and watch the special features. I remember distinctly watching the special features for Pirates of the Caribbean, the original, and Terminator 2, T2, the classic. Over and over and over again. I had this, I had the metal casing of the T2, the Platinum, I think it was called. Okay. And I would watch those special features just over and over and over. It was just ridiculous how good they were. Almost better than the movie. I mean, quite, like almost.
Sure.
Oh, and same thing with Pirates. Some of the best special features ever was behind the scenes of Pirates of the Caribbean, and then they had featurettes about real pirates. Morgan the Pirate and Blackbeard and all this stuff. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah.
Definitely. That's a big yes. I remember in the 2000s, like with DVDs, they, people were buying them. So there were more features produced. And now, it's not as many people buy them. So you may not get as much, but there are like a whole bunch of new audio commentators, who are a little bit younger, and maybe they give their take on these movies we love. It could be like a Hammer movie or whatever. And I was just wondering, currently in the Blu-ray market, which company do you think is doing the best, or is your favorite personally?
Like I said, I haven't really been watching it lately with the whole streaming thing. I just haven't been buying. I haven't been buying as many DVDs and Blu-rays. And I'm not trying to avoid the question. It's just that I literally haven't done it for years because everything I watch now is Netflix, Amazon, Prime. That's all I watch now. And there's no special features. There's no commentaries, or none that I see. So I can't even tell you who I think is top right now. Who do you think is tops right now?
Well, I think like Criterion is like obviously a name that's going to pop to mind. I think Arrow Video is doing crazy good.
Yes, I agree.
Stuff.
I agree with that. I agree with Arrow Video.
Yeah.
Yes.
And personally for like more deep cuts, I love Severed Films and I love Vinegar Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Vinegar Syndrome is pretty new too, but they're like I was just watching before we did this interview. I was watching Denise Richards being interviewed about Tammy and the T-Rex, and come on, what's not to love?
Not she wasn't being interviewed about Wild Things.
No, this is Tammy the T-Rex.
Do you know Wild Things?
I don't know that one. No.
Michael, go rent Wild Things.
Okay.
Denise Richards in the sexy, steamy pool scene.
Oh my.
You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay.
It's Matt Dillon, Denise Richards, and I think it's who's the other woman? Some other I can't remember right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. I mean, you did sell some sizzle right there. So
there you go, sizzle.
Do you? I was in Los Angeles last year, and I had a great checking out some of the great Hollywood theaters. Whether it's the Egyptian, or New Beverly, or Arrow Theater, or
sure.
What else? Help me out here. We got
those are the three big ones. I'm sure there's a bunch of others, but I can't.
Cinerama was a good one.
Oh, yeah. Cinerama Dome, you mean the big one?
Yeah, the dome and stuff. I didn't go to the dome, but I saw the curved screen. What are those your favorite LA movie theaters that I just chat them off? Yeah,
as far as the independent stuff, the first three you mentioned, Cinerama Dome is more for the big, premieres and all that big screen, which I love. I love the big screen, but Beverly and the other two, those Arrow, those Egyptian especially. I used to go to the Egyptian like all the time for premieres, and then we'd have the red carpet in the big opening they have in front there.
Oh, so cool!
I saw James Cameron there.
God.
Yeah. It's just that's probably I have to say that's probably my favorite. The Egyptian, just because people just meet there. It's almost like the jump cut cafe of movie theaters. They'd all just meet there and hang out afterwards, and have snacks, and it's just really I go with the Egyptian probably.
Oh, Egyptian's so cool. It's kind of weird that like it's like this Hollywood, iconic spot.
Iconic theater, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's owned by Netflix. That's kind of weird, huh?
You know what? I actually did not know that. That's funny.
Yeah, they bought and now Netflix owns American Cinematheque.
Oh, well, that's part of the Egyptian, yeah.
Yeah. Weird. But I don't know how I feel. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. But anyways, tell me about the importance of film festivals for horror movies, such as Fright Fest.
Well, as you saw in the Horror Crowd documentary, I have a whole segment on film festivals, which Oren Peli very nicely encapsulates how important film festivals. And yes, I will mention Fright Fest. My world premiere, and we love you guys over there. But seriously, how important festivals are to a filmmaker's person, especially a young or new filmmaker who's trying to make a name for him or herself, and get it out there, get the product out there. And if you get accepted by good festivals, you're in great shape. But even if you get accepted by a bunch of medium to smaller size festivals, you can parlay that into a lot of great marketing and promotion. I mean, right now, I got Fright Fest as my number one in my world premiere, but I've got a few others already, like, sniffing at my heels saying, hey. Nice. So that's going to be great. Festivals, and plus you get to go there and meet the fans and talk. And I love Q&As. I've done several Q&As as an actor, and I just love that idea. And going to do my first one as a filmmaker is going to be fantastic. Obviously when they open theaters again,
Right. That caveat.
Actually, Michael, I'm going to be doing a Q&A probably for Fright Fest online. So that'll be
good.
Great. Yeah. I'll be doing an intro, and then we're talking about doing a possible Q&A too, which would be great.
Of course. All right. Well, Ruben Pla, thank you very much for your time. One more question. What do you have planned for the rest of the year?
Well, right now I'm literally knee deep in marketing, promoting the Horror Crowd. That's all I'm doing is, talking to festivals. I've been approached by many festivals. But what I did do during this whole thing, which hasn't ended, of course, this whole quarantine, is I shot a short out in the woods where it was nice and safe. and I'm in the middle of editing that, and I plan to be submitting. It's a horror short, of course, and I plan to be submitting that to the festival as a follow-up to the horror crowd. So that's where I'm at right now, Michael.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll stay tuned to you, sir.
Thank you so much. You're a pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.